out with Neddy. Don't look too closely, he's rolled in something disgusting. And I was just walking along the usual path, and I suddenly noticed that you can see up here, I don't know how well that shows up, but this is a crack willow, so called because it's cracked on its branch. Up there you can see they're kind of shrubby kind of tree, and a great limb has kind of collapsed down, but they don't exactly break off, they fracture quite easily. And then what happens quite often is, as you probably know, willows grow from, you know, any point. So the limb will sort of bow down and start growing again from where the branches touch the ground. But you can just see, this is called a smile path. So you can see the original path heads off around there, but it's a bit, doesn't show up terribly well, but it's a bit obscured by the branches which are now hanging down. And so another little path has developed around here, and this is what we call a smile path. So I'll go in a bit nearer, sorry, the light's playing around a bit. But you can see here that there's now a big branch in the way of this, so everybody's started going the path Neddy's chosen. And this isn't just people, this will obviously be deer as well. And so we've now created a new path, and you can already see that the vegetation in this little kind of island here is starting to grow up. So a bit like when we looked before at the you know, the branch which was kind of harbouring new little trees, we'll soon be seeing different vegetation here because it's been allowed to grow up. So there we go, smile paths. I absolutely love alder trees in the winter. They've got these cones which are often fed on by bullfinches. I just saw a male bullfinch in a tree back there, but these are the cones and these are the catkins. So these are the male parts of the flower and these are the female, and these are full of seeds, but they have a beautiful kind of bloom on the buds. I don't know how well they show up, but the bark is beautiful and this gorgeous kind of purple bloom like a plum. Here's another smile path. That's the main path that goes across there, and actually this is kind of a double smile because you've got one that goes along here and the original path, as you can see, is just down there, but then because of this fallen tree there's another smile path that goes around there. So if you can see where Ned is actually the original pathway, but that's now blocked, so I can't see because of my shadow. So there's now another smile path to join up with this one. So these are Hazel Catkins, and you can see they haven't got the kind of purple bloom and they haven't got the cones either. So they're kind of quite a pale yellow, beige. And yeah, these are the male catkins that will become the lamb's tails, the familiar lamb's tails that we know of spring. And these will become the little female flowers. So yeah, that's Hazel. So I'm out with Neddy, and I've actually found some quite interesting poo. So I know it sounds like something that Neddy would definitely be interested in, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it. It's actually green woodpecker poo, and doesn't sound very interesting, but actually it is. Here we are. You can see it looks a little bit like sort of cigarette ash, and when we get home I'll show you why it's quite interesting. You can see that inside there are these little tiny bodies of ants. See if I can get that to focus. See the little shiny bodies? And that is because green woodpeckers eat ants. And they feed on the ground. But you can see the little shiny ant bodies. And there's legs and the antennae and everything. I'll see if I can get a close-up picture. But that's why green woodpecker droppings are quite interesting. I'll put up a picture of a green woodpecker. They're large birds, and they're very bright green. They're very distinctive, and they fly up from the ground. They nest in trees, but they don't really feed off trees, unlike the other woodpeckers we get here in the UK. But yeah, their droppings are full of little ant bodies. I'm going to make some pretzels. I got this lovely book for Christmas, and yeah, so I just thought I'd make some pretzels from it. Bit of savoury after all the sweetness of Christmas. So you make a sort of pre-ferment to go in the dough, and I did that, which I've just put the footage up, and here it is now. It's very sort of gloopy, sticky, yeasty dough, and used some of that, some of the flour and a few other bits and bobs. So I'm just going to get on and weigh out the liquid ingredients. So you've got some milk and some butter in here, and it doesn't need to be sort of too hot, but I just need to warm it up a bit because the house is cold and I don't want it to be spending all day trying to rise. So I've got 100 grams of milk and 50 grams of unsalted butter. Okay, just put that on to heat up. Then I need 500 grams of white flour. So this is just my regular strong organic white flour. So this makes a really stiff dough, so I will be using my KitchenAid, but I mean you can make them by hand, but I won't be doing that. There we go. I also need some sugar. How much do I need? 15 grams. And some salt, 10 grams. And some fresh yeast. I got myself some fresh yeast before Christmas, and this is organic fresh yeast, so it's not got any sort of nasty chemicals in it, and none are used during the yeast making process, so it smells amazing. So I need 10 grams of fresh yeast. Now previously when I've used fresh yeast, or kind of way back when I used fresh yeast, I used to have to dissolve it in the liquid, but in all Richard Bertinet's recipes you just crumble it into the flour and just then add the liquid and it does its thing. There we go. So I'm just going to crumble this into the top. If you sort of mix it with the flour, keep it away from the salt and the sugar, because that sort of concentrated, they're very sort of drying and they'll actually kill the yeast. So I'm just massaging it into the flour, which is away from the salt and sugar on the other side. I'm now going to add some of the pre-ferment, some of the fermented white dough. And how much of that do I need? 400 grams. So obviously this makes a lot more than 400 grams. So I will use this and use the remainder in another recipe. Easy to weigh out. I think that's about it. Very gloopy. Perfect. And then I'll pop in the butter and the milk once it's warmed up a bit, and then I'll put it into the mixer to make the dough. Been proving for about it's a couple of hours actually, and you can see it's risen quite a lot. So I'm going to lightly dust the worktop and divide this into 12 pieces. It's quite a firm dough, and a bit like bagel dough, if you've made bagels before. So I'm just going to roll them out. They need to be made into a long kind of sausage, so we can then fold it up into the pretzel shape. It needs to be about 20 centimetres. It's quite a springy dough. I've got two buttered baking sheets behind me, and so I'm just going to be folding them up and popping them on there and leaving them to proof. It's quite a springy dough, as you can see it as I roll it out. It springs back, but that's fine. So once I've shaped them all, I will then be glazing them with an egg wash and sprinkling them with some coarse sea salt. You can use rock salt, but I don't have any, so coarse sea salt it is. There we go, there's the pretzel shape. I'm popping them on here to prove. Here are my pretzels. I didn't really explain why you use a pre-fermented dough mixture. That's basically to give a kind of depth to the flavour, and because it sort of ferments over a slower time, it kind of adds it's a little bit more like sourdough. I haven't tried a sourdough pretzels, but you can make them and they'll probably be really tasty too. So I've topped these with coarse Breton sea salt, which is this kind of very grey, very salty sea salt. And you'd normally use the kind of more refined rock salt, but I really love the sort of crunchy Breton salt. And these they look like poppy seeds, but they're actually chia seeds. But, you know, same difference really. So they freeze really well. So I'll probably pop some of these in the freezer, but they're nice to snack. They're nice dunked in soup or probably Nutella, let's be honest. You can drizzle them with either chocolate or salted caramel sauce or something like that. So you get that, especially with the salty ones, you get that kind of sweet salt thing going on, which is extremely yummy. So yeah, these are my pretzels. I didn't fold them quite right. It was quite a springy dough. I probably could have done with a touch more water. I ended up slopping a bit too much of the pre-ferment in, so I cut down the water a bit, but obviously it's not as liquid as water. So they were quite firm to roll out, but so I didn't, you're meant to put another twist in them rather than them just be round like that, and they're probably meant to be a little bit finer and kind of bigger. But yeah, they're really tasty and I'm really pleased with them. You can also, you put a first egg wash on when you first leave them out to prove, and then just before you put them in the oven you do another egg wash, and that's what gives them this lovely golden colour. You can put a couple of drops of coffee essence in there. Ned! Sorry, where was I? Like I said, you can put a couple of drops of coffee essence in to give that really traditional sort of brown crust that pretzels have. But I didn't have any, so I just used egg wash. So yeah, there they are. So I'm really pleased with those. I might try them again another time. Neddy. But yeah, they're very tasty, and like I said, I'll put some of these in the freezer and then just reheat them from frozen when I want to snack on one. So there we go, pretzels. that concludes the vlog. It's a bit sort of piecemeal because I filmed it over a few days, just kind of around Christmas time. So I'm sitting in such a way that you don't get to see all the rubbish on the shelves behind me. I'll be along next time. I'm not sure what day I'm going to be uploading, just because it's New Year and stuff like that, and I've got a few bits to get done when we kind of start back on Monday the 4th. But I'll be back soon with some more bakes and some chicken update. Oh, I kicked. Some chicken updates, and maybe have a little look at the bees as well, just see how they're getting on over winter, and hopefully try some pastry things, because I got a new book from my parents alongside the other Richard Bertinet book. I got a pastry one as well, so I'm looking forward to having a go about with some of the things out of that book too. So have a happy new year, and I look forward to seeing you next time.